Hi, I'm Jessica Bolton from Daily Mirror's Just Saying column and show presenter brackets features. And I'm here with Tom, who's Tom Davidson here from our office.
Hi, good morning. I'm the deputy news editor at the Mirror as well, and a big film fan.
We've both been up all night, so you've got to bear with us a little bit if you're watching this and anything happens. We're a little bit on the tired side. We're joining this morning just to chat through what happened last night at the Oscars 2021, which obviously was a very different Oscars from what we're used to. But there were still some great winners and a few surprises as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. It looked like early on in the ceremony, in the first few awards, probably first 6 or 7, looks like it was all going to the bookies' predictions, but actually just halfway through and then towards the end, there were a few shocks and upsets that I think surprised some people, definitely.
Well, one of the shocks that surprised me was the Best Actor. If we talk about the elephant in the room on that one, because they shook up the ceremony running order this year. So the Best Picture, which is traditionally at the end, and my favourite moment still being the La La Land Moonlight mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally at the end, big excitement, and then it was they did it 3 from the end. So it was then Best Actor, then Best Actress, or sorry, the other way around, Best Actress, Best Actor, and it felt a real anti-climax, especially after they announced Best Actor as Sir Anthony Hopkins, which was fantastic, but he wasn't there. So they ended the night on a no-show. What did you think of that?
Yeah, so the ceremony was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who most people will probably know as the director of Ocean's 11, and he's also won Oscars himself for Erin Brockovich, and he directed Traffic as well. And he's he's been roped in to try and give this ceremony that was always going to involve some zooming, try and give that a bit of a shot on the arm and make sure that it's not just 3 hours of looking at people on video calls. But yeah, so no one knew the order that the awards would come in, although, as you say, Best Picture is nearly always last. So it was a bit of a surprise when that one came out, when everyone knew that there was still Best Actress and Actor to come. And then quickly, Twitter was awash with speculation. Oh, does this mean that Chadwick Boseman is going to win Best Actor? Because, to end the night with the sort of sad but still sort of quite touching moment of giving him posthumously the Best Actor after he died last year. So everyone thought that was going to happen. Everyone seemed to agree, oh, this is actually quite nice. It's worked out very nicely. Chadwick Boseman's going to win it, and it's going to end on quite this somber, touching note. And then,
which would have been lovely, actually. It would have been a really nice somber moment, like you say, and that would have made sense to move it back that way.
Yeah, it would have made sense, but then that didn't happen, and I think they just, obviously this proves that the Oscar organisers have no idea who was going to win, because I really think they engineered it for Chadwick to win, and then of course Sir Anthony Hopkins won, and he's terrific in The Father.
Oh, he is
brilliant.
He is. Not taking anything away from him at all. It was just simply the fact that he wasn't there, and this big, crescendo towards the end, and then it's like Joaquin Phoenix on there going, oh, actually, I don't really know any advice to give to actors, and oh, by the way, the guy that won isn't here. See ya.
Yes. Well, that's exactly it. And then it just kind of ended, because with no, Sir Anthony Hopkins is 83 for one. Yeah. He's done these awards shows since, he's probably done more than I've had hot dinners, to use the cliche. And he just didn't fancy schlepping all the way to LA, and he wasn't even at the BFI in London, because with the way that the ceremony was held, they had a remote sort of ceremony they're watching live from London. The BFI wasn't even there, and he didn't even record a video. So it was just well done,
I expected a video to crop up or something, and I've been checking his Twitter, and as just before we came on, there was still no response yet. I mean, he last won Best Actor in 1992 for Silence of the Lambs, which was famously, believe the last time that Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Film was all the same film, because Jodie Foster
and Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay. Yeah, it won the big five. That's right.
Which is amazing. It's that long ago since one film's been able to do that. You know, it's nearly 20 years. But you know, that's not even, that's bad maths. It's nearly 30 years.
I'm afraid so, yeah. Speaking as someone who was born in
suddenly a little bit older. But I mean, so it would have been really nice to see him, but we totally understand. He is 83. He's now the oldest ever person to win the acting, one of the acting awards at all, isn't he?
That's right. Yes, yeah, the oldest ever winner of Best Actor, and that's to go with on his shelf of awards, along with the award for Silence of the Lambs, for which he won Best Actor when he's only on screen for about 17 minutes. So that's the shortest. That's the shortest performance, or one of the shortest, certainly, to win Best Actor. And now he's the oldest actor to win Best Actor as well. There's a bit of trivia for you.
That's a nice bit of trivia. I like that. And we got a message here from Caroline Jameson. Mean not to give Glenn Close an Oscar, 8 nominations and none won. That's one of my other talking points of the night. I just really feel for Glenn Close. Don't get me wrong, love the winner that they did have for Best Supporting Actress, Yoon Jung Yoon. I hopefully got that right. Apologies if that's slightly off. Because she was the second woman of Asian descent to ever get an acting gong, and so that was fantastic, and she was great. She gave a brilliant speech.
She did. So she's the second Asian woman to win since 1958 was the last one, and she's the first Korean woman.
Yeah.
So, and with Bong Joon-ho winning Best Director last year, I'm absolutely here for the annual award, giving at least one award to someone Korean every year at the Oscars, it seems, because her speech was great. Bong's speech last year was also great.
Yeah.
But on Glenn Close, 8 without silverware, it's starting to get a bit embarrassing for the Academy, I suspect. But I don't think anyone's really arguing with this decision.
No.
I think Hillbilly Elegy, she won. She was also nominated for a Razzie, one of the few actors to get nominated for a Razzie and an Oscar for the same role.
Which is for anyone listening who doesn't know, it's like the Golden Raspberry Awards for the worst.
The anti-Oscars.
Yeah, for the anti-Oscars, which it's not very often people get nominated for the same role. I know Sandra Bullock got nominated for a different role the night before she won for The Blind Side years ago, and she turned up to accept, I believe. But it's I do feel for her. But you can't just hand out awards just because they've had bad luck with who they've been up against the other times. I mean, if she'd been nominated in a different year, she probably would have won. She's
been nominated 8 years and it's still not been good enough quite yet. But thankfully, Glenn also provided some of the best humour of the night. You can see her there, which was one of the most surreal moments when they basically did a little sort of trivia session on the best song winners, or even songs that weren't nominated for best films in the past. And lo and behold, the camera falls on Glenn Close and she identifies "The Butt" by Spike Lee, and then proceeds to shout at and also do a bit of dancing. And this was after she'd been unlucky in her category, so she still has a sense of humor about it. She doesn't seem to be holding any sour grapes or anything.
No.
She was still given responsible for one of the biggest laughs of the evening. So
exactly, everyone's going to remember that Glenn Close moment, and we all know she's a fantastic actress. It's just luck of the draw on the night, and that was one of the things that she said in her speech. Actually, she goes, I don't think I don't believe in competition. I was just a little bit luckier than everybody else." And I love the bit about maybe this is American hospitality that she won over the others, which she came out with some funny quips. And of course, backstage in the press room when she came through to there, like the first question everyone was asking her was, Oh, what was it like with Brad Pitt? Because Brad Pitt was like exec producer on Minari that she won for, but she
That's
hadn't
right.
met him before. So I mean, everyone was asking about that. And bless her, she did actually admit it was quite nice to see Brad Pitt. She's been a big fan of him all the time, so she was quite overwhelmed by that, as well as winning the Oscar. So yes. Quite a fun night for her, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was some very sort of low-key, friendly banter flirting, I think, between her. She read out her speech and she asked where he'd been while they were filming. I think, as you said, he was exec producer on Minari. But that's a nice moment of when he was able to give an award to someone who was obviously associated with through the film.
Yeah.
A similar case to, say, Riz Ahmed giving out the award for Best Sound when Sound of Metal won, which was one of the few ones that was considered an absolute lock-on that Sound of Metal would win Best Sound. So when he was invited in to give out the award for Best Sound, because of course he was up for Best Actor as well. And he could have won any of the year. He could have won.
Yeah,
tremendous in that film.
Because he won the Indie Spirits, didn't he? So he's just won that, and that's normally a good indicator.
That's right.
But yeah. I mean, there was a lot of British hopefuls in that same category, because obviously you had Gary Oldman as well for Mank.
That's right.
And any one of them could have won, really, any one of them. But I did think it was going to be a lock-on for Chadwick, just because, it would be such a poignant moment. I thought he would probably get the vote from the Academy.
Yeah. Riz Ahmed gave out. So Sound of Metal took home best sound and also best editing, which was a little bit of a surprise. Two of the more technical awards, but best sound was always a shoe-in for them after that film. A film all about being deaf, and that really, if you haven't seen it, it's free now on Amazon Prime. If you've got it streaming, you don't have to pay any extra, and it's really tremendous. I can't recommend it highly enough. I was really pleased when that took home some silverware. Even with Riz is going to have a great long career ahead of him. He's going to have some great roles. There are some people in some corners who think he could be Bond potentially, and he looked the part last night for James Bond, but he just missed out on actor. But hey, you'll have more nominations in the future, definitely.
Oh, I'm sure he will. And there was a lovely, touching moment on the red carpet where he's fixing his new wife's hair, like in a bit. Right. They were so cute, and like Twitter just went mad for that. So I mean, we love him. I mean, we had such a great amount of talent out there last night, and unfortunately, we didn't have as many winners as we would have liked. But you can't argue with Sandy Hopkins.
No.
And on Best Supporting Actor, obviously we've got to talk a little bit more about that, because that was a fantastic speech that Daniel Kaluuya gave.
Yes, I'm not sure his mum thinks it was fantastic. I think his mum towards the end put her head in her hands, but I think he was overcome by the emotion of the moment somewhat and got into a bit of a, as we all can be, and got into a bit of a whole talking about how much he loves life. But yes, it was great.
It was great. It was the bit, if anyone who's missed it and is catching up, where he sort of thanked his mum and dad, and he went a little bit far and he said, thanks for having sex and basically having him, where you think, perhaps he just needed to stop a couple of sentences earlier. And backstage he was like, probably shouldn't have said that. I'll be avoiding her for a little while, because she's gonna. But then he said, look, we have a bit of a joke with each other, should be fine with it. But he did look a little bit concerned.
Oh yeah, but what's great about that is as well, because they had the live stream, because his mum was watching he was in LA, and his mum was watching live from the BFI, and he had his mum there, and forgive me, I think it was with his sister, I'm not 100% sure. And then they were so proud and so happy for him, taking home the Oscar for Judas and the I've forgotten the anyway. And then he just loses it and goes. She just loses it and just puts her head in her hands. And it was all by the end of the night, it was already a meme. When Chadwick missed out on Best Actor, people were posting that with a meme of Daniel Kaluuya's mum.
Which is fantastic. I mean, he was very passionate as well, talking about, you know, what this meant and how it is everybody's job to help, you know, bring diversity, help bring justice as well. He was talking, like Regina King did at the beginning, about the events that have happened recently. So the outcome of the George Floyd trial, although he didn't explicitly say it, that was what he was basically talking about, the current events that have gone on. And he has spoken in the past about sort of racism in the UK as well, and things that he's encountered. So I mean, there was quite a few sort of very political speeches, or very powerful speeches like that last night, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a few. There was definitely some. Regina King, as you say, sort of opened it, talking about the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trial, and then there were sort of other references to sort of racial violence and gun violence in particular. But I thought one of the interesting things actually of the night was Frances McDormand's speech, because we've not actually talked about Nomadland yet, which is probably the big winner of the night, really, taking home Best Actress, Best Picture, and Best Director. Was Frances McDormand, who made the point to make sure everyone who's watching go and see these films in a cinema, because obviously this year, thanks because of the pandemic, you know, cinemas have been shut mostly all year, and people have watched these films streaming on TVs. I know I have, and it's not the same. And she was the only person I thought was quite surprising to really be like, yeah, guys, go and see these in a cinema now, because, you know, theatres need our film fans' help and support, and they will as soon as we start reopening and are able to safely do so.
They really do. It's quite sad at the moment, because you think there'd be so many people who get used to just watching it on the TV and not going back to the cinema. And I really hope that doesn't happen, because it's such a different experience.
It's a hugely different experience. But great for Nomadland to win. Chloe Zhao becomes only the second woman to win, and the first Asian woman and woman of color to win. She was cracking jokes already about setting up a dinner party with Catherine Bigelow, who was the first woman to win.
She actually went. She's met Catherine Bigelow.
Oh, is that right?
She said, yeah, she met Catherine Bigelow, and she was sort of said she was fangirling a little bit over her. Whether she liked her for Hurt Locker or for putting Keanu Reeves in that T-shirt in Point Break. So,
well, that's what's great about Catherine Bigelow. You can like her for both things.
Exactly. So, but she was saying about that, and it is fantastic that she's the second woman director. But I mean, this is the 93rd Oscars. Oh yeah, it kind of feels like the sort of thing we shouldn't really even be celebrating, because it should have happened so long ago. As with many of the records set last night, there was quite a few of them. Yes,
but then there's I think the phrase is like, let's not complain about how late they are to the party and celebrate they're here at all. You know, it is shockingly late. It's taking them a lot of time. They are desperately going to be playing catch up for the next, you know, decades, considering their historical overlooking of female directors. But a great win for Chloe Zhao, Best Picture and Best Director, and for Nomadland, and Frances McDormand as well, winning again after winning just a few years ago for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri as well.
And this is now, she's now got 3 Best Actress Oscars, because she won years ago for Fargo back in London, which actually makes her, she's got more than Meryl Streep, and she's just behind Katharine Hepburn for the record. Katharine's got 4.
Katharine's got 4, that's right, yeah.
So one more, and then Frances McDormand be up there, but you know, beating Meryl, that's pretty impressive. So
beating the eternal nominee Meryl Streep, that's right, because Meryl Streep just gets nominated every. In fact, I think this is the first year in a long time she's not been nominated. I'm sure she will be next year for whatever brilliant roles she gets into next time.
Exactly. I think a movie with her and Glenn Close, that's what we need.
No, because then Meryl beat out Glenn Close again, and it'll be 9 unlucky.
Oh, that'd be so awful. It was bad enough with Leo DiCaprio. Like, he was about 4 or 5 times before he finally got it, and that was bad enough. On what was Nomadland? Was that your favourite pick for Best Picture?
I really loved The Father, and I really liked Sound of Metal. It wasn't. Oh, no, it probably wasn't my no. It wasn't. I would have probably given it to probably Sound of Metal. I think I really enjoyed it. I didn't. There was a lot of nominees, really strong nominees. I thought Sound of Metal was really terrific, and I've not had a film affect me the way that did. Between that and The Father would have been my choices, because they're both, the way they were both done, the way The Sound of Metal chose to show deafness, and the way the Father chose to show dementia, were both incredibly interesting sort of filmmaking techniques, while also being incredibly engaging films. So they would have put, one of those two would have been my choice personally.
See, me personally, I feel like the Trial of Chicago 7, it wouldn't have been my choice, but I feel like that got completely over sort of looked.
Yes.
Obviously it was nominated, but no one's really been talking about it very much. I thought Sacha might actually win, Sacha Baron Cohen, for Best Supporting Actor, but he didn't. And it was a very good film. I just think it didn't have quite as many sort of quirky factors or different factors that made it stand out as much. But I do feel a little bit sort of sorry that it has been quite so overlooked and not talked about, because there was one where I started it and I didn't really know much to expect, and then it seemed like no time had gone past and I was completely engrossed. And obviously written by Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing. So it's a fantastic. It was a fantastic film, and I think I do feel a bit sad that it's sort of gone under the radar. It's been knocked down by sort of Sound of Metal and Nomadland, and people talking about these different ones.
Yeah,
but I think
this is where. Sorry, Jess. I think this is where you and I are going to disagree, because I thought it was the weakest one of the nominees. I wasn't, and I didn't think it was going to win any, because it's very Aaron Sorkin. And I think the writer director, his style of dialogue, it was criticized for manipulating history a little bit to portray. I'll put it this way: the momentum wasn't with it on the night.
No, the momentum hasn't been with it at all, is it? But
no. I was surprised that Mank picked up 2. So Mank picked up Best Production Design and Best Cinematography, which I thought was quite surprising, because I didn't think it was a spectacularly well shot film personally. But it's a prestige picture. Everyone knows Hollywood loves films about filmmaking, and this was a film about making one of the greatest films of all time, Citizen Kane. So it was always going to win something, and it took home 2, which is a pretty good haul, considering people were expecting it to nominate it for 10, and one of those ones that just gets nothing. But it did pick up 2.
Because I think it got the most nominations of all.
That's right. It got 10 nominations. It was the most nominated one.
And I kind of see how it ended up with cinematography and things, because I mean it's the sort of the black and whiteness of it. Everyone's like, it does look amazing and it looks sumptuous, and the high contrast of the black and white, and it's all very. He sort of said that they tried to shoot it in the way that those films would have been made at some time, so it's got some of the tropes of like the films of the time. So it was very good. I liked Mank. I didn't love it, and I expected to love it, because I love like that whole sort of like the golden age of Hollywood and all the studio system stuff, and I love all that. So I expected to really love it, but I didn't. But I think my favorite pick for best picture was actually Promising Young Woman. I absolutely loved that film. I thought it was done fantastically. And Emerald Fennell. It was brilliantly written, bit different. I think it probably appealed. Maybe it appeals more to a female audience. I don't know.
I don't think I would go that far. I think it's surprising. It's a film. I was surprised it got that many nominations. I think it is a good film. Don't get me wrong at all. But it's not the sort of film the Academy normally nominates, which I think it's a good thing that they recognised it, because it's quite out there. It's obviously got a very dark subject matter, but it's I was surprised that it got nominated, and then obviously, as you say, it did pick up best was it best adapted or best original screenplay? It was best original screenplay, wasn't it?
Original screenplay, yeah.
Right.
for Emerald, which was great. She was obviously up for a Best Director with Chloe, which made history in itself, that there's the two females in one category.
Right.
I mean, she was great when she went up there, and obviously she's pregnant. And she said about putting the statue down. She said, I never expected it to weigh this much. She said backstage, because she'd only ever held a fake one, which was quite fun. I mean, she's obviously, obviously she comes from a very well-to-do family. She was brought up there, friends with the Cara Delevingne and that sort of social circle. She went to the same school as Kate Middleton, but she does seem quite down to earth, and she comes out with, she's got that same sort of homeliness as Olivia Colman, kind of self-deprecating humor, which I really comes across in the film a little bit as well. I really liked it. I thought it was great, and I also thought, probably from a sort of like teenage girl in the 90s, I love the fact that you had Seth from the OC, and they were making him out to be like this awful person. I mean, coming from it, that sort of stage. And also she did the shout out to Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. I think probably people who are teen girls in my era probably have, like, a special place for Emerald, because she comes out with some crackers.
No, I thought her speech was good. It was an early good win for the Brits as well. Her and Daniel Kaluuya both picking up gongs. Good night for the Brits. Not the best, but good to get some representation out there as well.
Exactly. A shame about Vanessa Kirby. She did a brilliant performance in Pieces of a Woman with that really, really long birth scene, which has basically put me off childbirth at any point. But I mean, she was unlikely to win, wasn't she?
She was always an outside choice, I think. I think a worthy nominee. I think, again, she'll have more nominations in the future, but the cards weren't in her favour to win tonight. And because Pieces of a Woman wasn't nominated much elsewhere as well, which often can be seen as an indicator of how the Academy's are going. And it wasn't in her favour. But as you say, that birth scene, and she's terrific in all of Pieces of a Woman. It's great.
Did you enjoy the night?
I did. I thought it's so long, and it's always going to be kind of pomp and ceremony because it's like the most prestigious award event. So that's kind of part of their thing. I thought some part, like we talked about, Best Actor, kind of it ended on such a bum note. But having said that, the Oscars are the Oscars. They're always going to be sort of 2.5, 3 hours. You're never going to trim them down more. It was nice that they didn't. It was nice that they didn't play off any of the winners as well. There was no playoff music. They were allowed to make their speeches. Just quickly, Thomas Winterberg of Another Round spoke about losing his daughter, and it was really moving. One of the most moving parts of the night. They got rid of all the rubbish songs that they try and do, like pastiches of the famous films with songs, which never come across as very funny, I don't think. They got rid of those. But generally, on the whole, like, it's not. No one's ever going to come out, I think, and say what a brilliant Oscars it was. But as considering it was during a pandemic, I think Soderbergh did a good enough job. It was interesting enough. It's just a real shame about that sort of sour note at the end, because it kind of feels a bit.
It is a shame that we couldn't have had a video link up or something, or just switch it around so it was Francis, so it went off on a big note. But I mean, Thomas Vinterberg, for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, I mean, he won for Best International Picture, isn't?
That's right.
And he talked there about his daughter, who had been very involved with the film and encouraging with him, and he was terribly tragic. She was basically killed by a texting driver 4 days before the shoot. And I didn't expect that to come out of there. I didn't know much about him, I'll be honest. I mean, that was a terribly, terribly moving moment of the night, and yet he was very natural in saying it. He wasn't. I thought that was incredibly moving.
It was. That was one of the award speeches that will stick with me, because not many of them do, but that one will.
Yeah, because I was just like, because I had no idea at that point. I mean, how brave of him to carry on and go on and finish the film.
Exactly, yeah. And what a great film. Another Round is really good. It's worth checking out if you can.
Yeah, I haven't yet, so I will. I'll work my way through the best international
Do
film
it.
category.
Do it.
I am very bad. I haven't done it all yet. Like,
Do it.
so yes, I mean, it was great overall. I mean, considering it was during the pandemic, I liked that it was more intimate, and that, you know, you could kind of see everybody interacting and stuff. That was quite nice. I thought in the end.
Yeah.
What would you like to see next year in terms of the Oscars? Do you think they should keep it smaller like this now they've done that?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think they will always want to go back to being the bombastic, over-the-top, pompy sort of. They always like to show off just how much talent they can get on the stage. I don't know exactly what I'd like them to do. I think, yeah, to be shorter would be a bit good. There was still some filler in the ceremony that they could have cut, but you can't. I don't want you to limit the thank you speeches, because this is literally the pinnacle of their careers, you know. So don't cut those short. Yeah, it just needs to be streamlined a bit, I think, if in any way they can. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. I'll still probably tune in. I'll be up all night again watching it. But
I always am. I've always been up all night through hell or high water of having to try and the saga of trying to get it on Sky Premiere and all that stuff. It's like, you know, sitting up all night is just one of the joys of the year. And I think there's some people that love it, there's some people that don't. But, you know, for us that do, then it's great fun. And it is the biggest night in cinema, and no doubt. Is. Apologies to all the others.
I think they'll be okay with it.
So, thank you so much for chatting through everything with us, Tom. And I hope everyone out there who's been watching, if you've got any more questions, get them in very, very quickly. And otherwise, we'll hopefully see you next year.
Next year. I'll slept by then. See you.
Hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.